All right, here we are at Lake X in the Adirondacks. I always wanted to say that, to have some anonymous lake that you guys can't find out about. But yeah, we're at a private lake in the Adirondacks, and I finally started catching a few fish. I caught a tiny largemouth, then a pretty small smallmouth, which was actually the first smallmouth of my life, and then an even bigger rock bass, and that was the first rock bass of my life. So it's a shame that I didn't even have the camera out at that time, but seems like it's not going to be too difficult to catch a few more. So we're going to have a good time here. Let me take a sip of coffee and we'll get that line in the water. So I should explain what I have on there. It's a like a brown colored panfish magnet. Just like this is a very clear lake, so I figured go with natural colors. So it's almost like an earthworm colored panfish magnet on a panfish magnet jig head. And I was just kind of letting it sink and then jigging it more or less along the bottom. Of course, now that I have the camera, things are going to go a lot slower, but got a lot of rain last night. I don't know how that's going to affect anything, but so we're going for first smallmouth on film, or first rock bass on film. Well, folks, just one thing you should know about me is that I'm always a slow starter, but then, here we go. There we go. Perfect timing. Ooh. Yep, that I believe is a rock bass. It's much smaller than the first one I caught. These guys, these spines on the last one at least, on the top and bottom, are exceptionally like hard, like solid spines. I think they could really do some damage. But anyway, that's a rock bass. Whoa, okay, bye. So I like the, now that I found here's that panfish magnet with the jig head. And now that I found that this works, I think this is going to be a very productive lake. But the people up here are telling me there's an even better lake up the road that I might try later in the day. I also might try to get out on one of these boats, go for some bigger stuff. I don't know if people usually eat rock bass, but I'm open to giving it a shot. I actually bought a filleting knife on the way up here. If we catch something of decent size, I am not opposed to cutting that thing up. Oh, darn it. Poor hook set there. I had something. We'll get another one, guys. Don't worry. Be patient. You can't just expect Lake X to produce on every cast. I think my species count is up to like 23 or 24. That's on the year.
There is somewhere out here. There's a there's a sunken canoe.
Oh yeah.
So if you can navigate it, it's a good place to fish because they hang out around there. But it's also a good place to
lose a lot of lures. Yeah. What's it? Casey said I could use his paddle board thing. But I guess. Oh, okay. Well, either way.
So I ended up taking out Rob's paddleboard for a little while and trying to fish with it, but it was very hard to balance. Gave my calves quite a workout, though. Didn't catch anything, and I realized it would have been hilarious if I fell in the water, but I did manage to keep control. So I came back to the dock and just kept fishing from there.
I mean, small, tiny. I mean, so I caught, the first fish I caught was a largemouth like that big, and then there was a smallmouth like that big, and then two rock bass. One was actually the biggest fish I caught. And, today was my first time ever catching one, but it doesn't look like a smallmouth or a largemouth. It's like a stout. It's more stout. It looks a little bit more like a sunfish or a crappie, but it's really like meaty. It's like thick. It's You do, but I don't know if anybody actually eats them. I'm stuck. Oh, yeah, actually, Rob, could you? Absolutely. Yeah, no, I'm very official about it. I also like if it's not like in my hand and I have it's like a reception in football. You know, if I don't have, you know, if I can't make a football move or a fishing move with it in my hand, I don't count it as a landed fish. So, you know, because a lot of time you'll drag it and it'll flop on the dock and then flop back in. Well, I just explained it, Robert. Pumpkin seed. Yup. It is. Largy. 386. Or I mean 8 on the day. Sorry, that was my yearly. Largemouth.
So in the afternoon, Ben and I went out in the paddle boat, and I realized this isn't the most effective way to fish from a paddle boat, especially we didn't have an anchor and it got very windy. Towards this island that we were going to head to, I did actually have 2 fish on, but they both broke off. I'm thinking maybe they had teeth.
So it's a lot of rocky area around here, so I would assume that part of the natural forage is crayfish. So I'm going to have a little jig here hopping amongst the rocks as a little crayfish imitation. See what happens. I've already been broken off twice on the drop shot. Both were surely fish. I'm thinking pickerel or pike, unless there's walleye in here, because those all have teeth. I think it's just, I mean, there's probably different regional strains, but I think other than that, it's just pronunciation. Like they say crawfish, and I usually say crayfish. I mean, it's kind of cut because of your malfeasance.
So this next lake we ended up going to looked very promising, looked like a great place to catch fish. There wasn't a single house on it. Everybody kept telling me, oh, you got to check out this lake. You got to go try this lake. You're going to have a great time. You're going to catch a lot of fish. But it ended up being a real grind. There were 4 guys there. Everybody had a rod in the water, and we truly struggled.
So this is called a Texas rig. Mm-hmm. You put it just through like a little bit like that, and then you bring it all the way, and then now you're going to put the hook back through here. So this is to make it mostly weedless.
Oh, okay.
So it's going to come back out the top, but just like barely. So it's going to be like flush with the lure.
Huh.
Oh, that was a bite.
Oh, yeah?
Definitely. I mean, still some weeds over there, but I had something little.
Yeah.
I don't think it had much size to it, but.
So after doing a lot of drop shotting, I ended up trying a spinnerbait, a rattle trap, And I think I ended with a jig, but just nothing was working for me. And it was too bad because this place looked really, really juicy. But, that's what happens sometimes. One thing about this place is there wasn't really too much shore access, so who knows? Maybe the fish were just in another part of the pond. But we certainly couldn't find them.
All right, one more.
All right, we'll give it to you.
Always cast one more when in doubt.
Absolutely. That's a fish. Oh. No, it's not. It's a snag.